Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very proud to be here today, joined by County Commissioner Eileen Higgins, business leaders and advocates from across our community to talk about this very critical issue and the steps that we are taking to provide relief to those who have been impacted by the pandemic. For the first time in almost a year, we see light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccines, and we are working hard to ramp up the distribution of these vaccines countywide so we can get to the immunity that we need as soon as possible in this county and nationally. But we are still months away from widespread community immunity, and so we must continue to do everything we possibly can to protect the lives and livelihoods of those who have been affected, both from a public health and an economic crisis perspective. So the federal eviction moratorium has saved lives, and it has kept people safely in their homes, preventing the spread of this disease. And the local moratorium has helped ensure that Miami-Dade law enforcement is using its limited resources to focus on the things that are protecting our residents in the midst of this historic public health crisis. And at the same time, we need to be sure to protect the livelihoods of all of our residents. Our hurting landlords, we need to help them be whole, and we need to provide help to the small businesses who've suffered such tremendous financial hardship and with it loss of jobs. So we are very, very proud and grateful that with the new round of $60 million in federal relief funds, we will be able to provide support to these landlords who have been struggling. They have filed writs with the police department, and the tenants are facing eviction, but this relief program will provide back rent owed to these landlords with writs starting March of 2020 through the current time, up to a maximum of $3,000 per month. So this is a very substantial support for those landlords who have to pay their bills. And I'm also announcing that beginning on March 5th, the county will resume service of writs for commercial evictions only. The residential eviction moratorium that was mandated at the federal level is still in place in order to protect the most vulnerable families and our public health. My administration is working closely alongside landlords and tenants' rights groups, and I'm proud to be joined by advocates today from both sides of this sad story. We are going to hear from our police department. They're actively working to deploy the resources to support the landlords that are dealing with criminal squatter cases, and that these are not covered by the moratorium. And working together, we will continue to protect vulnerable families and provide relief to hard-hit landlords so that we can keep our community safe in this final chapter of the pandemic. So now I am very pleased to turn it over to Commissioner Eileen Higgins, who has been an outspoken advocate for our families and businesses throughout this crisis, to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just to provide a little context, earlier this spring, as the pandemic was growing and the slowdown in our economy was growing, but growing more deeply, I knew immediately that we had to help struggling families pay their rent as they lost their jobs or as they lost their work hours. And that's why I sponsored the original emergency rental assistance program along with our now mayor, Daniella Levine Cava. That program has already helped over 7,000 families pay their rent directly to the landlord. We are paying the landlords because the landlords are suffering as well. When they have a tenant that is unable to pay the rent because of the pandemic, they are also unable to pay their mortgages. So I'm very pleased today that our mayor and Mr. Director Liu will continue this important program to help our residents and their landlords stay afloat as we emerge from the pandemic. Mientras la pandemia crecía y nuestra economía caía, supe inmediatamente que teníamos que ayudar a las familias en dificultades con el alquiler cuando perdían el trabajo o las horas del trabajo. Es por eso que patronicé el programa de asistencia de alquiler de emergencia original junto con nuestra alcaldesa. Ese programa ya ayudó más de 7,000 hogares el pagar el alquiler directamente a sus propietarios. Muchos de nuestros propietarios pequeños también están pasando apuros porque no han podido pagar sus hipotecas. Me complace con que la alcaldesa y director Lu continúen con este programa importante para ayudar a nuestros residentes y propietarios a mantenerse a flote mientras nos recuperamos de la pandemia. Gracias.
Good morning. I'm Annie Lord, the Executive Director at Miami Homes for All. At Miami Homes for All, we're especially concerned that this terrible public health crisis and economic crisis has impacted the entire housing ecosystem in Miami-Dade, from landlords and their lenders, as well as tenants. In particular, we're very pleased with the programs that have been proposed here today by the county to support that ecosystem and to give tenants assurances in a public health crisis that they can remain in a safe and stable home. This program is going to help all the stakeholders in that housing ecosystem. And going forward, as the county and the commission move to implement this program, Miami Homes for All stands ready and willing to work with the commission and the mayor's office to ensure that those assurances for tenants are in place, especially those tenants that are extremely vulnerable, that might have had interruptions in their income or extremely high medical expenses due to the pandemic. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Sergeant Carlos Luffy. I'm a supervisor with the Economic Crimes Bureau. My squad investigates illegal squatters within homes in Miami-Dade, unincorporated Miami-Dade County. Give you a brief description, of what a squatter is just a transient or an illegal occupant of a home or a condominium in where the homeowner never gave that individual the right to be on that property. So we might have a squad of individuals that do dedicate time to investigating. We are actively investigating those cases. Buenos días, lo voy a decir en español, me perdona el español que no es muy bien, pero mi nombre es Sargento Carlos Luffy con el Departamento de Policía de Miami-Dade, crimen económico. Lo que hacemos nosotros, investigamos ocupantes ilegales, normalmente que se refieren como squatters. Son gente que entran en el apartamento, en la casa ilegal y se quedan adentro de la casa sin permiso del dueño o dueña de la casa. Perdón, yes, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it in English first. If anybody needs to report a squatter, they can call 305-4-POLICE. Or if they have any specific questions about squatters, you can also call our office directly. Our number is 305-994-1000. We'll be happy to answer any questions. Si tienen problemas con squatters o tienen preguntas de squatters, si tienen problemas, llama primero el 305-4-POLICE. O si tienes preguntas de los squatters, puede llamar a la oficina de nosotros directo al 305-994-1000. Yes, sir.
You can bring everyone back for questions?
Thank you.
We're going to take questions after our last speaker. Her name is Leonie Hermatin from the Haitian Neighborhood Center. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde. Après invitation, magistrat Daniella Levine Cava, qui a présenté à la communauté un programme spécial qui a supporté moun qui propriétaire caille, surtout propriétaire caille qui a loué à moun qui vraiment impacté par Covid. Donc les moun pas qu'à payer loyer yo, gon programme spécial que magistrat Daniella Levine Cava et commissioner Eileen Higgins présenté pour protéger et pour supporter ni moun qui vivent dans caille là, ni moun qui loué caille. Donc merci beaucoup, nous très contents que gon gros opportunité comme ça pour protéger ni moun qui vivent dans caille et ni moun qui loué caille. Merci.
Thank you. If our speakers are now available for questions.
Mayor Levine, Cava, we have done a number of stories on squatters, where the landlords feel that the moratorium is protecting squatters. That because there's a moratorium, squatters aren't being evicted. The sergeant nicely said that we're investigating, but some of these cases have gone on for an entire year now, where squatters are living in homes that never paid rent in the first place.
So thank you for the question. Basically, squatters are not protected by the courts, and those matters have always been available to call into the police department. So we are not preventing the removal of squatters.
Well, when we called the Miami-Dade Police Department, we were told by an individual that if it was filed before March 12th...
Yes, excuse me. What I'm saying is there's no need to file a legal action. Squatters are removed by police if they have no legal right to be present. So it's not a matter for the courts, it's really a matter for the police.
Are they doing that?
As I've been told that they are. Yes.
Sergeant,
How many squatters you've thrown out?
En total, el programa, ok, sí. Aquí estamos para anunciar que tenemos un programa ahora que va a proteger los dueños y los alquilinos con dineros con fondos federales que hemos recibido, $60 millones, y con el apoyo de la comisionada Eileen Higgins vamos a seguir adelante hasta el punto de $3,000 cada mes, comenzando en el marzo del año anterior. Y con eso esperamos seguir adelante protegiendo la economía, los gastos que tienen los dueños de las propiedades y también proteger las personas que no pueden pagar por la pandemia y asegurar su salud también.
How do landlords apply for this money?
We are going to be putting together the details through the Office of Public Housing and Community Development, and we're not ready for the applications just yet, but we will roll out the details very soon.
Did we hear from the sergeant? It's your unit that
on
throws
the-
out squatters. How many squatters has your unit thrown out, say, in the last 90 days or 120 days?
I can't tell you exact numbers, but we average about 2 removals a week, more or less. So I can tell you that, it was slow a bit at the beginning of the pandemic, but we've, like the mayor said, that one thing has nothing to do with the other. You don't have to apply for anything in the court system.
Right, but when we called court services and spoke to somebody about this, she said, we're not doing any evictions. So does it go down to the level of the people who are answering the phones from the landlords who have questions?
Like I said earlier, sir, we don't. First of all, we don't work out of court services. We work out of economic crimes.
Okay.
So evictions and squatters are two completely different things. So the squatters are handled out of economic crimes. I can't answer for court services, I'm sorry.
So
But
you've done 2 a week since the pandemic has started?
we've averaged about 2 a week, more or less.
You could say maybe there's some confusion. People think that they're squatters, but they're not.
Right, that's another thing, like the mayor said, I'm sorry. There are sometimes that people believe that they have squatters, but at the end of the day, when we do the investigation, it turns out to be an eviction or an ejectment that they have to do to remove those individuals from the property.
So, is it then, if it's not considered a squatter, if they have like a fake lease from somebody, is that considered a squatter? If they have a fake lease?
If it's a fake lease and we investigate and we can prove that it's a fake lease and that the homeowners never gave them permission to stay on that property, then that's a squatter, yes. No problem. Okay, okay.
Okay. This is commercial evictions. Is there somebody else here from the police department? Okay, please. Thank you very much. And identify yourself. They're asking about.
Translate the question.
Yeah, we have a translator.
Yeah.
That would be me. I believe the question was about commercial evictions.
Good morning. My name is Andrew Glass. I'm the major of the Miami-Dade. I don't speak. I'm sorry.
Well, he'll say it in English and then Luisana will translate.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go first.
Yeah. My name is Andrew Glass. I'm the major of the Miami-Dade Police Department's Court Services Bureau, and I understand there's a question regarding commercial evictions.
Yes.
If you could tell me the particulars of the question.
She wants to know if when are like restarting the commercial evictions.
As the mayor indicated, they're looking at resuming commercial evictions March 5th, and we'll resume those evictions accordingly.
And let me just say one more thing.
Sure.
We are going to be working on providing notice so that this will not be a sudden action, but yes, we are going to recommence commercial evictions.
How many are in the pipeline? How many commercial?
And-
There's approximately close to 150 at this point.
Hablando de los dueños de propiedad comercial, vamos a comenzar el día 5 de marzo con evicciones porque no tenemos la protección del gobierno federal y ni los fondos federales para ayudar, pero vamos a comunicar con los dueños y los alquilinos si están para ayudar ellos en la manera que podamos.
Madam Mayor, what will landlords need specifically to prove that they've lost revenue in evictions? What will they need to submit to the county?
Perhaps we could have Mr. Liu, the head of our Public Housing and Community Development, who's already been handling the similar program, if you could explain it. Thank you.
We will be accepting referrals from the landlords, and the landlords can assist with providing copies of leases, rent rolls. That will be helpful. And then we will also be contacting the tenants that are referred to make sure that there's a meeting of the minds. Tenants will also have a direct application process. And again, this is something that we are building upon that we have already successfully used in our prior emergency rental assistance programs. So it's always been, we have approached our rental assistance programs in a case management approach where we work both with the landlords and the tenants so that we can have a reasonable accommodation and satisfaction of the obligations.
Instead of money just going out, we will be investigating each individual case to make sure the money's going to the right.
Correct, correct.
Mr. Luke, can you help us on the pipeline? Like how many evictions are in the pipeline and for how much back rent?
Well, in terms of the evictions, my understanding, and this is secondhand, okay, there are about anywhere from 6,000 to 7,000 evictions in the process, and of that, there are about 1,600 to 1,700 where writs of possession, writs of evictions have actually been processed by the courts. They have not been served yet because of the moratorium, and those will be treated in a priority fashion under this program.
I just want to add one thing here. Thank you. So to develop this program, we've been meeting with landlords as well as with tenants' rights groups to have a balanced approach, and have also, we receive complaints and concerns from the public all the time. And this program will be rolled out in a manner that will provide protection and support to both sides of the equation. Yeah.
It's also important to realize that not all of the writs that have been issued have been based on back rent. There are other reasons that a landlord might have been able to convince a court that an eviction is something that would be appropriate. As you all know, that there are various elements to a lease, and tenants can potentially break those elements of the lease separate from not paying rent.
Yeah, actually, one other thing. And we're working with social service programs, with our homeless trust and others, so that people can have the supports that they need, obviously, if they're going through personal struggles in the pandemic. Very good. Okay.